But if you come into this podcast as like someone wanting to fact check everything we both say and like really get into the nuance of it, you could probably rip this thing to pieces, essentially.
I met a gypsy.
What's up, YouTube? We just did the ads for the Mike Grondhal podcast, and I thought we probably need to do a disclaimer video of sorts about this episode of the podcast. It might ruffle feathers. We talked about some weird shit.
Yeah. Might ruffle some feathers, yeah.
Maybe. Which was not the intention of this podcast. We did not go into this podcast thinking, righto, let's get some people riled up. It's just Mike has been in the industry a long time. He's been a real background dude. Like, I definitely didn't know much about him. I knew he was a rich dude. I knew the Planet Fitness thing. Didn't really know too much more about him. B Maisie hooked this up after we did the podcast with B Maisie. So yeah, didn't really know what we were getting into. But from the stuff that I'd seen on Twitter when the GEICO thing departed and he's been banned off Twitter. So it's like, I kind of figured out from that we might get into some different kind of topics. So, but with that being said, Mike Grondhal, epic dude, has lived an insane life. Like, listening to his story, we did 3.5 hours. The podcast is live, by the way, right now on iTunes, Spotify. Type in Gypsy Tales. It helps if you subscribe to the show. It's really cool. We don't just interview motocrossers either. We interview heaps of people. We just interviewed Levi Jones-Leary, who is world jiu-jitsu champion. Fucking animal. Choked me 100 times before we did the podcast. So anyway, this episode live now. But yeah, just dude, listening to his story was insane. Like, the guy revolutionized the fitness industry in America, and the ideas around what prompted his thoughts and the changes that he made. It was also just crazy timing. Like, they were the first gym to do credit card payments, like all this shit that is just so standard now. Planet Fitness was the first to do. Even how he got into motocross, what got him excited on it in the first place. The amount of money that he spent in motocross is insane. Like, millions and millions, put in the Trump thing, millions and billions and billions. So yeah, he spent a lot of cash in motocross, and because he fucking purely loves it. He's like, you just don't sink in millions and millions of dollars into the sport without having like a crazy passion. His son raced. They were the guys behind Alias, the gear company. Like, they were the guys that started the Nest, which is, I think, Langston's old place, and then they bought it as the Nest, and then that's when Kenny and AC and everyone was there. So yeah, man, he's just been in everything, like everything. And he's got some crazy ideas. Some of his ideas were so shit, and some of his ideas were so fucking good, like insanely good. You know what? And that's what, do you know what it takes to have a really good idea? A lot of other shit ideas. Like, shit ideas are what makes your good ideas. So if you're a person that's got some fucking crazy ideas, chances are at some point you're going to have some crazy good ideas. He does have crazy good ideas. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one. Other disclaimer, I smoked a fucking whole joint through this podcast. I was extremely baked during most of it because I wanted to be sociable with our guest. If my guest was here and he was smoking, I would smoke with him. But I just ended up sitting on this side of the computer, being extremely enthralled in what he had to say and just fucking sucking on this shit like a full wrap of weed. So I was fucking high as fuck. So also, that's part of the disclaimer. So yeah, I think that if you take all of those things into consideration, you'll enjoy listening to this podcast for 3.5 hours. But if you come into this podcast as like someone wanting to fact check everything we both say and like really get into the nuance of it, You could probably rip this thing to pieces, essentially. But what you're hearing is two fucking crazy people talking about crazy shit, pretty fucking ripped, and this is the first draft of that conversation. No edits have been made. No, we don't get a redo. I don't get a chance to say stuff that I probably should have said. I don't get a chance to not say shit I shouldn't have said. So anyway, we just thought we'd make a little bit of a disclaimer video to put it out there. I personally think this was a fucking awesome episode of the podcast. Yeah. Ronan's nodding his head for those.
I'd agree with that.
So anyway, we just thought make a little disclaimer video, give you some context, fill you in on the fact that we're fucking cooked doing it. But yeah, like honestly, this like I'll read you through. I wrote down some of the topics that we talked about. Mike's career, changing the fitness industry, Planet Fitness, what moto used to be like, an American motorcycle manufacturer to compete with the Japanese and Austrian manufacturer. That's a fucking crazy idea. That's a fucking crazy good idea. We talked about, like, what's to say we don't buy 400 RMZ 450s, put a fucking Kickstarter on them, Twisted Development does the ignitions, you know what I'm saying? And then we just sell 400 of these bad boys and we make our own manufacturer. American made. We could do it. We wouldn't do it in Australia, but I said we, like I was American. But that's a fucking sick idea. But it's crazy. That's like a crazy idea. What else did we talk about? I said peds should be legal. That was fucking dumb. But I don't know. Maybe these guys get hurt. Ask them to do some pretty gnarly shit. Might make the racing good. But yeah, Mike's pretty adamant that a lot of the dudes now are on performance enhancing drugs. I actually literally don't know. There's tons of shit I do know that I don't talk about. That's not one of them. We talked about James, the way that he was pushed out of the sport. And this is probably Mike's most fantastic idea in this podcast. The fucking motorcycle city. That's honestly the sickest idea. I could fully sit down if I had like a sick graphic designer and an artist, a builder, like a town planner. You could make the sickest shit like Moto City. And America is the place where you could pull it off 100%. Brilliant fucking idea. And you get a dude that's like a multi-squillionaire that could actually afford to do it. So there was like some really, really great shit talked about in here. And some stuff that was just fucking me talking out my ass. Also, this is another thing that I wanted to say on here. Disclaimer. When I'm talking about like Feld and merch deals and like Team Rev, I actually don't have all the facts. Just need to throw that out there. I know I don't have all the facts. I'm just a dude that sits in a room and talks to other people about the sport I like. That's it. Please don't think that I'm any more than that. I do know a bunch of shit from talking to a bunch of different people, but like a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, I would really need to like talk to Dave Prater. So if people get angry at all at me not knowing certain things or like not getting certain things right, fair enough. But I'm very open to being wrong. I'm very open to somebody that does know that shit coming on the podcast and correcting me. And then I'll just apply that now that I know whatever, if I've got shit wrong, then I'll just go forward speaking the right shit. So anyway, just trying to cover some bases here.
Yeah,
right. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So Dave Prater, if I'm talking out my ass, which probably am, come on the podcast, educate me, educate the now millions of people that see this shit every single month. And well, it's not millions of people. Yeah, anyway. It's a fucking lot. Let's educate all these people, including myself. That would be the goal. So yeah, if I get shit wrong, I'm definitely down to be wrong. I'd love to be educated on the matter. This is where I'm at with the information that I got. So anyway, hope you like this video. Not this video. I don't give a fuck if you like this video. This is purely informational. But hope you enjoy the podcast with Mike. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him. He's such a good dude. And when you hear his life story, when you hear just the things that he have to, like, there was even this crazy health shit that he was going through that we just did not get time to even dive into. Even in the 3.5 hours, still didn't get time to talk about this crazy fucking health thing that he had to go through for years and years of running that team, or like being a part of that team ownership. So yeah, crazy dude. I really enjoyed the podcast. The guy's awesome. And yeah, he's an asset to the industry. Definitely polarizing. I get that side of it. But in terms of what he's done, his business accolades outside, and just the life that he's lived, like, damn, I found myself really wanting to listen to his advice and hear the things that he said. So, yeah, anyway, hope you enjoy. That was me disclaimer. Hopefully I don't have to do this for too many episodes. Hopefully people know that I'm just some fucking idiot in Australia talking shit, and people don't, put too much weight on what I say. But, yeah, unreal. Enjoy. Catch you later.